Mr. Speaker, I thank you. And I want to first start by saying that this House is finally now doing business. After we have been done with the preliminary issues that we were prosecuting the last few weeks, I do feel now that we are in the real business of this House. Mr. Speaker, it is commendable what the Honorable Mule has done and what the Honorable Wakili Geshimo have done by actually presenting such an impressive legislative proposal that seeks to amend the Constitution to entrench decentralized funds in our Constitution, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking from a constituency that has seen the impact of a decentralized fund in the name of CDF. Mr. Speaker, in the last 5 years, the Dagoretti South constituency has built 5 new high schools from scratch to completion, 5 new high schools that are now being used by residents of the Dagoretti South constituency. We have been able to get all our chiefs from Mabati structures. None of our chiefs is in a Mabati structure. They are now in very good, habitable, modern offices. We have been able to build police station upon police station. The grand, ultra-modern RUTO police station, multi-story, digitized. OB is in the computer. Mr. Speaker, we have been able to build the Mokarara Central Kitchen, out of which we are able to feed 10,000 students every day. A kitchen that has a capacity of feeding up to 20,000 pupils, Mr. Speaker, in our comprehensive school feeding program. Mr. Speaker, this is just to mention a few of the things that CDF is able to do if well managed, if well oversighted, if well superintended. Mr. Speaker, that is why I rise to support this motion. And in fact, I want to say that when it comes to the committee stage, Mr. Speaker, I shall be proposing some amendments. These amendments are actually builds to this proposal. And I think the House was very wise in having a pre-publication conference where members are able to ventilate, put in some bills so that the proposers are able to just draft anew and include some of these amendments. Mr. Speaker, it is my view that if CDF is working so well for constituencies as a decentralized funds, then we should be thinking how much further can we decentralize funds, Mr. Speaker. That is why the amendment that I see I want to do is to introduce, it is clause 204, and I want to introduce a new segment, clause 204E, which will seek to further establish an equitable development fund, which shall be a county government fund, which shall be consisting of monies of not less than a certain percentage of the share of the revenue that is allocated to each county as divided by County Allocation Revenue Act enacted pursuant to Article 218. Mr. Speaker, this clause in its second part will read that all monies allocated under this article shall be considered as funds allocated towards pursuant to Article 207(2)(a) to be administered in accordance to the provisions of an Act of Parliament, and 3, Parliament shall enact legislation to make further provisions for the operation of this article. Mr. Speaker, I had thought that I would push a floor amendment, but I later got to understand what it is we are doing this afternoon, because what we are doing is a pre-conference, Mr. Speaker. And I want to note, Mr. Speaker, that even as we speak now, we have in your gallery, the Speaker's gallery, members of County Assembly from different counties, Mr. Speaker. We have the Honorable Mwaura from Nairobi City County. We have the Honorable Mutie. We have the Honorable Namina, who are here to see if members can be magnanimous enough to see as they enjoy the CDF, whether we can unlock what members of county assemblies have been unable to unlock with their governors, Mr. Speaker. Let us see how we shall be able to decentralize further funds, so because we've seen the effect of decentralizing funds and the impact they have, and the benefits that accrue will be for the good of this nation, for the people who elect us. And Mr. Speaker, this is the work we came to do in Parliament. I thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Very well. On Adan Haji, Mandera East West, is in the house.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I sincerely thank Honorable Gishomo and Honorable Mule for having brought this statement at the right time. As we know very well, CDF is the only devolved fund that is everywhere, every corner of this country, and the most rural area of this country. The only fund visible, the only activities that are visible are activities that has been undertaken by CDF. And unlike other funds, like even the county development funds, which after communities do some work, the delay in payment for years,
Yes, on Kiare, what is out of order?
It's not in my place to interrupt the very esteemed ranking member, Yusuf, but I think this is critical, Mr. Speaker, because we've been having very many fights on this fund, especially with institutions that do not understand how CDF works. I think it is not in order for the Honorable Yusuf to refer to CDF as a devolved fund. In fact, one of the biggest problems we are having is when people imagine that CDF can undertake devolved functions. So, Mr. Speaker, I would wish that the Honorable Yusuf could actually refer to CDF as a decentralized fund that is able to do national government functions in constituencies and not refer to it as a devolved funds. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, I think.
Very well,
thank you so much.
You may continue.
Thank you so much for correcting me there. You are very right. This is not part of the devolved fund. It is a central government fund that has reached the most remotest area. I was just saying that developments undertaken by other funds, if you look at the payment schedules, what do you call that? Constituency development fund payments are very prompt. That is why, however little it is, even contractors who do classrooms, who do police stations, who do chief's office, they prefer the national government CDF fund projects than taking big projects from the counties, which sometimes it takes 3 years, 4 years, or even 5 years to be paid. And the projects that are done by national government CDF fund are projects which are community felt need. The processes that are undertaken are processes which involve all community sectors, the women, the youth, and they come up with their preferred projects, and ultimately the projects that are done becomes the serious felt needs of the projects. Wananchi, wherever they are talking about CDF. Now that since we were elected in August up to now, there's no CDF released, a lot of students are dropping out of school just because there's no bursary. But you still hear there's bursary allocation in other parts of other accounts or other funds. But the ones which are really felt, the ones which really do some job, the ones where students are highly relying on and making sure that they are going to school and studying is the NG CDF fund. And as we are here today, whatever has gone to court is CDF, is not NG CDF. And therefore, I urge the Treasury to release CDF with immediate effect so that our students, our poor students who have been seriously hit by the drought, parents who have been seriously hit by drought, parents who lost their livestock will be able to take the children to school through the CDF come January. Therefore, it's my request that Treasury releases the ND CDF money with immediate effect so that it can be processed. Finally, expanding it to 5%, I think this is a noble idea.
Okay, very well. Next to speak on this is Joseph Gitari, Kirinyaga Central.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, I would really want to ask you to be patient. We are actually following the queue and also trying to make sure that there's fairness. I'm very happy about the ranking members who are very patient in the House, and I can see them here. You may proceed.
Thank you, Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I want to congratulate Honorable Geshimo and Honorable Mure for bringing this timely debate. Honorable Speaker, on start, I want to remind Kenyans that what was annulled in court was the CDF Act 2013, and we still have NG-CDF 2015. Honorable Speaker, I was in this parliament, in 10th and 11th parliament, and I know how these two acts came into place. So I would ask the CS in charge of National Treasury not to shy away because we are covered. As we speak, Mr. Speaker, we have kids at home. We are receiving calls because we don't have money for bursary. And bearing in mind that the Form 4s and Class 8 are doing their exams, and even the others in Class 6 to go to junior secondary school, it is a critical moment where we are supposed to be having that money so that we issue bursaries to avoid the Form 4 classes from being interrupted. Honorable Speaker, when I served in 11th Parliament, CDF was active, and there were no restrictions as such because most of the functions were not devolved. I clearly remember in Kirinyaga Central, we did 11 dispensaries, and these dispensaries are ongoing, about 6 or 7 of them. Honorable Speaker, when these functions were